Welcome to third session of electrochemistry. In this session, we'll discuss about the factors affecting the molar conductivity, variation of molar conductivity with dilution, Colorash's law, and the application of Colorash's law, and the problem based on this.
Now let us look into the two important factors influencing the conductivity of electrolytes. One is nature of electrolyte and the second is concentration of the solution. As far as nature of electrolyte is concerned, you know what is electrolyte? Electrolytes are the substance which are capable of conducting electricity either in the dissolved state or in the molten state. And there are two different types of electrolytes. One is strong electrolytes. The examples are sodium chloride, sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, potassium nitrate, potassium chloride, etc. They are completely ionized in aqueous solution. Therefore, they will show high values of conductivity, both molar as well as equivalent. High values of conductivity. Where completely ionized means when dissolved in water, they will separate as anions and cations. So for example, when you add sodium chloride into water, it will become Na plus and Cl minus. It will get completely separated. Then there are weak electrolytes or organic acids. The most simplest one is acetic acid. You can also call it as ethanoic acid. Then ammonium hydroxide and your carbonic acid, the soda, carbonic acid. They won't dissociate completely. Weak electrolytes do not dissociate completely or ionize completely. Hence, since the number of anions and cations are lesser due to the lack of complete ionization, their conductivity, whether it is molar or equivalent, is lesser. Now the second factor is concentration of the solution. Through one of the problem we have understood how the concentration of the solution affect the conductivity. We know that in the case of strong as well as weak electrolyte, with dilution conductivity increases, or with decrease in the concentration the conductivity increases. Molar conductivity or equivalent conductivity increases with dilution. Very important point. In case of strong electrolyte, the increase in the molar conductivity is due to the decrease in inter-ionic attraction. When the concentration is high, the anions and cations are much closer to each other. Therefore, there is inter-ionic interaction. Anion will attract cation. As a result, their movement is reduced. But when you add water or when you dilute the solution, since they become further apart, their ionic mobility increases. Hence, the decrease in concentration increases the conductivity. In case of weak electrolyte, as you increase the dilution, the degree of dissociation increases. That is, the number of ions increases. Greater dissociation or ionization takes place. Actually, degree of dissociation is the amount of substance dissociated divided by the total amount of substance. That is known as degree of dissociation. The fraction of the amount of substance that has dissociated. Say for example, if you have got 10 moles of acetic acid. If you add that 10 moles of acetic acid into water, if only 2 moles dissociate, then the degree of dissociation is 2 by 10. 2 by 10. If you add water into it, then 3 or 4 moles of acetic acid dissociate. Then degree of dissociation will become 4 by 10. That is, when you increase the dilution, degree of dissociation increases. Hence, the number of anions and cations will increase, thereby increasing the conductivity. I hope it is clear. Now let us understand this concept graphically. That is, variation of molar conductivity with dilution. For that, we have to plot molar conductivity against the square root of concentration. Let us look into the graph of the strong electrolyte. You can see in the case of strong electrolyte, it is a straight line. It is a straight line. If you extend the straight line, which is also known as extrapolation, you will get the molar conductivity at zero concentration. That is known as lambda infinity. That is molar conductivity at infinite dilution. In case of strong electrolyte, since the graph is a straight line, we can extend the graph and calculate lambda infinity. That is the most important point in this. Okay. Now let us look how the weak electrolyte behave. In the case of weak electrolyte, it is a curve which does not touch the y-axis. Hence, it is very clear that lambda infinity cannot be determined by the extrapolation of the curve. These two graphs are very important from your examination point of view. In both cases, you can see that molar conductivity increases with the dilution. In case of strong electrolyte, it is a straight line. In case of weak electrolyte, it is a curve. And you can also see that the lambda infinity, or you can also call it as molar conductivity at zero concentration, can also be said as limiting molar conductivity, can only be calculated in case of strong electrolyte graphically. we cannot calculate lambda infinity of weak electrolyte because the graph of the weak electrolyte cannot be extrapolated. Limiting molar conductivity or molar conductivity at infinite dilution or molar conductivity at zero concentration. These three terms, all these three are one and the same and very important. From the graph, it's very clear. Lambda infinity at infinite dilution can be determined only in the case of strong electrolyte because extrapolation of the straight line is possible. Why it is not possible to determine lambda infinity of a weak electrolyte? Because it is a curve which becomes parallel to the y-axis when the concentration approaches zero. We are again and again emphasizing this point because this is one of the most important points of this topic. You've seen that the graph between molar conductivity and square root of a concentration in case of a strong electrolyte is a straight line. Now, if we try to represent it mathematically, which was actually studied by Debye, Huckel and Onsager, therefore, this relationship between lambda, molar conductivity and square root of concentration is known by their name, which is known as Debye-Huckel-Onsager relationship. You know the equation for a straight line. It is y is equal to mx plus c. In this case, y is lambda m, x is root c. The slope is minus b because it is negative. And the intercept on the y-axis when x is equal to 0, that is actually lambda infinity. So using this relationship, we can determine the lambda infinity or molar conductivity at infinite dilution or molar conductivity at zero concentration of a strong electrolyte. B is actually the slope and it is a constant which depends upon the nature of solvent and temperature. In the previous two slides, we have emphasized on the point that we cannot determine the lambda infinity of a weak electrolyte graphically. So in order to determine the lambda infinity, that is molar conductivity at infinite dilution of a weak electrolyte, we use a law suggested by Kohlrashes. The Kohlrashes law states that the limiting molar conductivity of an electrolyte is the sum of individual ionic conductivities of anions and cations present in it at infinite dilution. Actually, this is quite simple. If you look the mathematical representation of this, lambda infinity of CH3COH is equal to lambda infinity of CH3CO minus lambda infinity of H plus. Okay, lambda infinity of NaCl will become lambda infinity of Na plus and lambda infinity of Cl minus. The Color-Ashes is actually suggesting that infinite dilution, both weak electrolyte as well as strong electrolyte behave similarly. That is, they are completely dissociated. That is all that is stated in Color-Ashes law. The contribution of the anion towards the total conductivity and the contribution of the cations can be summated, that is added, and they are independent of each other. That is what Color-Ashes law is. Lambda infinity of HCl is equal to lambda infinity of H plus lambda infinity of Cl minus. Lambda infinity of CaCl2 is lambda infinity Ca2 plus 2 into lambda infinity of Cl minus, because when CaCl2 dissociate, it will produce one cation, that is Ca2 plus, and two anions, that is 2Cl minus. Hence this equation. Okay, and this is most important, it is applicable for both strong as well as weak electrolyte. Just as I have said, Color-Ashes only meant to say that at infinite dilution both strong and weak electrolyte behave similarly, that is, they are completely ionized. Now let us look into the applications of Color-Ashes law. The first application is quite obvious: calculation of molar conductivities of weak electrolyte at infinite dilution. That we can understand using an example. We have to find the molar conductivity of acetic acid at infinite dilution. This can actually be obtained. See, lambda infinity CH3COOH is actually equal to lambda infinity CH3COO minus plus lambda infinity H plus, isn't it? Now, see how it comes out. You need to have lambda infinity of CH3COO minus and lambda infinity of H plus. Since at infinite dilution, the contributions of anions and cations are independent, we can use this method. To get the lambda infinity of CH3CO minus, we use CH3CONa, which is a strong electrolyte. And to get the lambda infinity of H plus, we use lambda infinity of HCl. And then we reduce it, the lambda infinity of NaCl from it, so that you get the lambda infinity of CH3COOH. You can easily understand by splitting each of these electrolytes. See, we have splitted each of these electrolytes into anions and cations. It's only possible at lambda infinity. And now you can see there is one Na plus in the positive as well as in the negative, and Cl minus in the positive as well as negative, lambda infinity, which can be reduced. It reduces CH3COH into CH3CO minus plus lambda infinity H plus. Okay. The next application is determination of degree of dissociation of a weak electrolyte. How can we do it? That is equal to lambda C divided by lambda infinity, where lambda C is the molar conductivity at a given concentration, divided by lambda infinity, that is molar conductivity at infinite dilution. The third application is determination of dissociation constant of a weak electrolyte. That you have studied in the topic equilibrium. If you know degree of dissociation, from that we can determine dissociation constant of a weak electrolyte Kc. If alpha is the degree of dissociation, then the dissociation constant K is equal to C alpha square divided by 1 minus alpha. Now let us try to understand the Cauler-Ash's law, application of the first application of Cauler-Ash's law by doing a problem. You have got lambda infinity of ammonium hydroxide. You have to calculate it. You are given lambda infinity of barium hydroxide 457.6, lambda infinity of barium chloride, that is 240, and lambda infinity of ammonium chloride 298.8. Now, to determine lambda infinity of ammonium hydroxide, we need ammonium ions and hydroxide ions. Ammonium ions comes from ammonium chloride and hydroxide ion comes from barium hydroxide. And then we'll have to remove barium chloride, because barium and chlorine are the two extra anion and cation that has to be removed. So we'll minus it with barium chloride. So this equation will look like this. And then if you want to split and see, you can see this. Quite simple. We can see which all values can be cancelled. You can see that the value of barium chloride can be cancelled. If you cancel the barium chloride, you get lambda infinity of ammonium hydroxide. So on substitution, it will look like this. You'll get the value 238.3. Okay. Enough for today. Thank you for watching. Still more to come. Till then, keep a positive mind. This is MCS signing off.